Welcome to Friday Fuel for February 23, 2024. Join us on Sunday for Sunday Supper at 5:30, provided by Ron Potch with catering from Marsha's Country Catering. On Monday, small group will not meet, but Wednesday night we will have worship at 8:30 as usual. And plan to join us March 17th through 20th for our spring break trip to Little Grassy Camp. Contact Betsy at betzY@eiuwesley.org if you would like to participate or if you'd like more information. And now here's some fuel for your Friday. Hello again. This week we are moving through, I guess we're technically in the second week of Lent because it started on a Wednesday and now it's Friday. But we were talking Wednesday night about Jesus in the wilderness, and our scripture reading was Mark 1, 9 through 15. About that time, Jesus came from Nazareth of Galilee, and John baptized him in the Jordan River. While he was coming up out of the water, Jesus saw heaven splitting open and the Spirit like a dove coming down on him. And there was a voice from heaven, "You are my Son, whom I dearly love. In you I find happiness." At once the Spirit forced Jesus out into the wilderness. He was in the wilderness for 40 days, tempted by Satan. He was among the wild animals, and the angels took care of him. After John was arrested, Jesus came into Galilee announcing God's good news, saying, "Now is the time. Here comes God's kingdom. Change your hearts and lives and trust this good news." So we hear a lot going on in those few verses in Mark. And what we focus on the first Sunday of Lent, so that was last Sunday, but what we were talking about this Wednesday was the wilderness. And we know that Jesus, it tells us the Spirit led Jesus into the wilderness. He was there for 40 days. He was tempted. He was alone, except that the angels cared for him. So he wasn't there with any other people, but the angels were there caring for him. And so we know that wilderness is a common theme in Scripture. The Israelites wandered in the wilderness for 40 years. Jesus is in the wilderness for 40 days. And we talk a lot about wilderness times in our lives. Times where maybe we feel alone, we feel tempted, we're not sure that we feel God's presence with us, and we're not always sure where we're going. We kind of feel lost in an unfamiliar place. And sometimes I think that our wilderness experiences are times in our lives when we are not so much lost or in an unfamiliar place, but there's so much else going on in our lives that we forget to pay attention to the ways that God is with us and that angels are ministering to us. And we forget that God is empowering us to face temptation and face trials. And so if you are in one of those times and you haven't thought of it as wilderness, think of it as a wilderness time, of a time where you might discover something new, you might learn something new about yourself and about how God is present with you. So I want to share with you, this is from Kate Bowler's Have a Beautiful, Terrible Day. And this is a blessing from one of her Lenten reflections in this book. So here's a blessing for you as you consider the wilderness experiences that you have been through and maybe are going through right now, and also the ways that God might be with you that you haven't even noticed. God of all that we hardly notice, ruler of the ground under our feet and the sky stretched over our heads, send your Spirit to direct our steps and our thoughts as we stumble around this day and night. We have too much to do, so give us enough silence to hear your voice. We have too much to worry about, so quiet us with a moment of your peace. We have too much to carry, so lighten our hearts with your love. We are your people, eyes cast down on the ground that you made, worry that the sky will fall again. Remind us again that above and below, you are here. God is with us. In the wilderness, in the great times in our lives, in the everyday that doesn't feel either great or bad. God is with us. God is here. Give thanks. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Friday.